now that you've introduced yourself, you sign the oath. Have you signed it? So I'll invite you and request that you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you come from, what you've been doing, the experiences you have, the qualifications that we have. I'll give you about 7 minutes to do that. Okay, just, yeah, you proceed.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee for giving me this opportunity. My names are FCPA Susan Oyatsi. I have been the advisor, finance for head of public service, and my contract has ended 28th of February. I was born in a village called Luhoho. I started school in a village school called Maturu in 1973. And I remember vividly, Chair and the committee, carrying cow dung every Friday to smear so that we minimize the fleas that cause jiggers in my village. And I'm happy to report when I went back, there's now a gorofa in that school, courtesy of my current MP, Anabwera. I really thank him for that. If this committee approves, I will work with him.
Move closer to the mic so that you are clearer. No, just move the chair close to the mic, or you move the mic closer to you.
I think, Chair, let me allow her to.
Okay, you may proceed now.
I thank you that, Chair. So I grew up in that village. I lost my mother at a very tender age, and quite a number of villagers came to help in my elder brother in bringing me up. So in primary schools, I went to many primary schools, even in Trans Nzoia. I did very well and joined Mukumu Girls, the Alliance of Western. And after that, I joined Kenyatta University. And then I did my master's in the University of Nairobi. And I've done a lot of professional courses. As I introduced myself, I'm a fellow of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. That is shortly, Chair, about my educational background. I come to my professional background. I began as a teacher after going through Kenyatta University, but I was studying the accountancy exams. And when I finished, I joined Heritage Insurance, starting from a low level and grew up. By the time I left, I joined the Energy Regulatory Commission, where I also started at a lower level and left as a chief accountant, and went to the judiciary as assistant accountant in charge of Nairobi region in 2013, and finally was employed by the Executive Office of the President as an advisor to head of public service. There are quite a number of achievements, Chair, that I have done in my professional line. I'll just start, because you gave me 7 minutes, I will go to the key ones. The key ones where I was a member of council of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya for 2 terms. So I did 2 terms. I know that word. Then I was a member of Council for Women Accountants of Kenya, where I was very passionate about the education of the girl child who wants to study accounts. I started that program. In the institute, for the 2 years that I was there, I proposed, and by the time I was leaving, we had a policy on whistleblowing. I realized, Chair and members, that accountants are the ones who hold the economy of this country. The money that is in the budget policy statement now will be spent by the accountants who are regulated by ISPAC. So there are times, there are challenges in executing this budget because it is a professional hazard. So I had a policy called whistleblowing, where we got support from the United Nations and Amnesty International, and they coined it as Wapinduru. So an accountant, wherever you are, if you are caught in a situation where you are not following the law and you're trying to advise, please piganduru kwa ISPAC. That is one of my major achievements that I left, and quite a number of things that I did at ISPAC. At the judiciary, I was involved in the automation, which has members changed the whole of the legal profession, the way they carry out their work. Nowadays, an advocate can sit and have a case in Malindi, in Kwale, in Mandera, at the comfort of his desk. That automation has my signature, Chairman. In the judiciary, there was leakages here and there in the collection of revenue. You know, the accounting officer was a collector of revenue, and I sealed off, nearly minimizing that risk. And as we talk, from the time I left the judiciary, they have been getting a clean report on revenue collection. They get 2 sets of opinion from the Auditor General. The collector of revenue has always been clean from my time. When I was at Energy Regulatory Commission, I did a lot of prudent management of finances. And when I was a teacher, my students performed very well in business studies, and we had an A for the first time. Those are the few. But if you allow me, Chair, I have others that have really helped move the country in terms of prudent use, responsible use of finances. At the head of public service, the latest that I have been working on was zero-fault audit. This is all about compliance to the law. This is all about realizing that the internal auditor is a strategic partner in any organization. This is all realizing that we have to implement audit recommendations that are given. I'm aware, members, you churn out a lot of recommendations to the 6 committees of Parliament. Are they being followed? That is what I've been doing under the executive, to make sure that the questions that come from Parliament, the recommendations that are given by Parliament, are implemented by the executive arm. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan, for the elaborate introduction, your experience and qualifications, and what you've been able to achieve. I'll now allow members to field questions. We'll just take a few, and you must be armed with a paper and a pen so that you can note the questions that will come from the committee members. Honorable Engineer Zambia.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. Just for the sake of introduction, you've talked of an accountant. Are you CPAK?
I'm a fellow, Chair, I'm a fellow of the Institute of Certified Public Accountant of Kenya. Being a fellow means you are already a member of that institute, and you are recognized for the outstanding performance, for the outstanding contributions to the institute. That is why I'm a fellow of the institute.
Any other question? Engineer Zambia?
I just need clarification. not too much details. Are you CPAK, yes or no?
Yes, yes, Honorable Member, I am.
Honorable Wario.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the Daktari for courage. In her last statement, she said she is ready to implement what the executive proposes. Is she going to implement the wrong decisions maybe by the executive if once directed? Also, Chair, there is a report of Parliament on the public lands, especially the ADC. The resolution by Parliament for the NLC to implement. Is she going to advocate for the implementation? Because Parliament, once it passes, it's a law. So are you going to implement what Parliament approves on behalf of the people of Kenya? Thank you.
We'll just take a few and then you'll respond. Is Honorable Ashaka Wario. Okay. So that question is from him. Madam Irene, Honorable Irene Bahati.
Thank you, Chair. And I must admit that I am proud of the nominee for that achievement of being a fellow and being a lady. Of course, I'm also very proud of her. But I have two questions. One, somewhere I have seen that you had sued your employer. I don't know whether I am wrong, but I've seen somewhere that you had sued your employer. While you were suing your employer, you had not realized that your contract had expired, so that you could take mitigation, you could do mitigation measures before. And secondly, relating to your assignment that you are going to get at NLC, there are so many irregular allocations of land, which of course belong to the public. But I don't know whether you'd be in a position right now to highlight to us what role will you play, especially because I have heard from your CV that you came up with a slogan, Piganduru. At some point I was actually confused because I know one person who says Piganduru, but I think you are very conversant with that. So how will you Piganduru here in NLC?
Will you switch off your mic and Madam Susan? Dr. Gideon Chanda.
Thanks, yeah. Just a general short comment on how judiciary has been handling land matters. It's just a general experience on judiciary and issues of land. And then the second one is in judiciary, if you take, for example, this year, they are handling a budget of 26 or so billion shillings. NLC is handling a budget of under 4 billion shillings. How will you look at that in relation to your performance?
I'm mentioning their names so that you don't lose the question.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Honorable Katana.
Thank you, Chair. Madam Nominee, you have painted a very good picture on your achievement at the judiciary. But Kenyans are still suffering within the judiciary, that they're not getting justice. Their cases have taken too long to be concluded. And to an extent, it is who, because I'm giving you an example in my area, Kilifi. A lot of our people, when it comes to matters of land, when they go to court, they always lose their cases against some very influential people who tend to grab their land. Now that you have been nominated to NLC, how will you address these issues concerning land within the judiciary and NLC? Because NLC also has been accused that has been dealing with influential people vis-a-vis the locals. So a lot of land has been lost to who is who in this country against very local people, the individuals. How do you intend also to address the issue of squatters in this country? Thank you.
You can first take those ones, then we'll go to the second round.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable asked me about implementation of parliamentary recommendations. That is actually what I have been doing to make sure that the executive implements those recommendations. You realize the Auditor General has been churning out quite a number of issues. Then they come to Parliament, they are deliberated, and they lie there in the shelves. But my work has been to bring up to the executive that this was a recommendation by Parliament. If the recommendation was, for example, recover from Susan, has the accounting officer recovered from Susan? And letters have been going round. If the recommendations were the person to be surcharged, so that is taking place, and that is changing the behavior of how parliamentarian recommendations are being looked at. That is being appreciated now as we talk. Suing my employer, yes. Madam Mheshimiwa, I did, and allow me to tell the members that I won the case, but they appealed, and we have done the submissions. We've put up our case again, and we've been told by the Court of Appeal, that the judgment will be out 10th of July. So I don't know, Chair will guide me whether I should go ahead. It's still live in the Court of Appeal.
It was just a confirmation that you sued your employer, and you have confirmed. You may proceed to other matters now that that is alive.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chair. The judiciary and land matters, Honorable Member, it is true the land judges are quite busy. I used to facilitate them, so I could tell. I had a formula in which I was using to allocate funds in the judiciary, and one of the formula was the case backlog, and I would estimate. I had a formula that I was using. And yes, the land judges had a lot of cases. And just when the president nominated me, quite a number of judges who are the land judges congratulated me, but they would put there a statement. Susan, as you go to National Land Commission, please, there is a challenge in the legal department. So, Madam, I can see you are confirming what I was receiving. Honorable Member, you are confirming the messages that I was receiving from the judges of Land and Environment Court. So if I go there, one thing, Honorable Chair and members, there are 3 nominees who are advocates of the High Court. I'm sure we will work together to see how we will work on this department. But as an accountant, what will I start? I will scan the environment. I will use my accounting techniques to evaluate the cases. High-risk cases, medium-risk cases, and low-risk cases, so that I bring to the attention of these other 3 members to look at them and see. Now they are the experts in that field, but I will try to use my accounting technique to try to help. I will also try to see, is it that the department could be having challenges where cases are, you know, you are being sued, you don't know. National Land Commission is in Nairobi with I think I was reading their strategic plan is when they are opening up their offices in the counties. So you are being sued from Lamu, you are being sued from Mandera, you are being sued from Nairobi, you are being sued from Machakos, and you don't know. So if you approve, members, one of the priorities that I'll give is to engage the judiciary leadership on land matters so that they can sit with this legal department and we see how can we expedite the cases. Why is National Land Commission losing? I told you, Chair, in my introduction.
Yes.
Madam Nominee, you have mentioned that NLC is in Nairobi, and sometimes we are being sued in Machakos, and you are not aware. Are you aware that you have representative in every county? There are NLC offices in every county. Are you aware of that?
I read that, sir, Mheshimiwa, in the strategic plan. They have now localized in every county. They have offices in the 47 counties. But they may not have a system of tracking these cases. I told you in my introduction that my signature is on the e-filing and the automation system that is in the judiciary now. So I will engage so that even the judiciary, because they are ahead in automation, I don't know the level of automation of National Land Commission, so that even the judiciary can just have an alert to the National Land Commission. In Machakos County, you could be in Machakos and the case is at Makueni, you know, so that they are alerted and they are aware. It could just be a simple WhatsApp message. We see when we are traveling with Kenya Airways that, oh, your flight is being late. It's not so expensive with the advancements that we have in the technology. So we can have an alert from the judiciary that this case has come. That is one of the things, if you approved, members, that I will engage the judiciary to work with, so that we have even just a read-only access to their system that will only be on the land matters. The billion, 26 billion, getting 26 billion, and National Land Commission getting 4 billion. Chair and members, I actually read the budget policy statement that was submitted to National Assembly on 18th, and I saw the resource requirements for the National Land Commission was about 7.7 billion. I saw the allocation was about 3.3 billion. In fact, looking at their financial statements, they are going to get less in the year compared to the current year. So if you approve, Chair and members, I will be back here with the CEO to ask for resource so that we are able to run the programs. I saw their programs, very robust programs, programs that will help them achieve their mandate. So if you approve, for sure, I will be back with the accounting officer to ask this same committee for more money so that the programs that they have lined up is achieved. Cases taking too long, honorable member, that is the mandate of the judiciary, and you are an oversight, Parliament is oversight. I think that should go to the judiciary. Why do they take so long? Is it that you have not given them enough money? Is it that the judicial officers are less? That I cannot help. But I will, if you approve my nomination, work very hard with the National Land Commission to make sure the cases that affect them are worked on fairly and in an expedited way. Addressing national locals, yes. I said I saw in one of their resource requirements, they would want to have those offices expanded. From their strategic plan and from the return, the exit report that I've gone through, the cohort, the commissioners that have just left, it is one staff. And they need to have that office expanded so that they can be able to deal with the locals. I'm sure in Kwale, wherever, where you come from, Mheshimiwa, we will have the staff if you give us the resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Another set of questions. Honorable Omar Mwinyi, then Honorable Gitari, and Honorable Rachel Nyamai. Start with Omar.
Thank you, Chair. My question is about the style of operation of NLC in the past. The first NLC committee was run in a style of one-man show, where the chairman used to do everything. The second one was actually being run by cliques of commissioners having different interests. How are you going to make sure that once you are appointed as a commissioner, NLC will be one entity with the only ambition and aim of making sure Kenyans benefit from you being there, because you have a mandate that Kenyans expect to fulfill so that at least life can be better. We have had cases of lawyers being paid 350 million, especially during the time when Parliament is about to go for elections. These are, of course, fraudulent payments. How are you going to ensure, as a commissioner, that this kind of decisions, this kind of games are going to be a thing of the past? Because when you're talking about budgets which are not within your reach, yet you are also not talking about you, but the commissions that have actually elapsed are paying where they're not supposed to be paying. And finally, there has been a tendency of past commissions depositing money in fixed deposit accounts and then eating on the interest. How are you going to make sure this is going to be a thing of the past, so that you are an official worth being trusted and of course playing the game the way it is actually expected? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, the monies we are talking about is monies which come to NLC through from other agencies like the Kenya National Roads Authority. Okay, those monies for payment of people affected by the project. So that's the money is referring to. Honorable Gitari.
Thank you, Chair. Let me first of all say I'm impressed by the nominee, Chair, because at least she knows her history. It's not written. She was getting it from her head, and having been a teacher. Then she also confirms to me that she's a two-term. So in this lane, I'm happy with her. However, there are two things, clarification I wanted to get from her. One, Chair, about the affordable houses. Chair, there are allegations that the affordable housing program relies significantly on public land parcels in urban centers. I want to know, in your view, what is the role of NLC in verifying the legality of land identified for affordable housing, and how should it ensure compliance with Article 16, 62, and 60 of the Constitution before such allocation? Chair, as I've said, I belong to Institution of Surveyors of Kenya. I'm a surveyor by profession, and we've gotten a memorandum from ISK And ISK are saying that the 7 nominees, none of them is from the RADET profession. I would like to get your wisdom on how do we navigate through that, now that among the 7 nominees, including the chair, we don't have anybody who is a land surveyor, we don't have anybody who is in evaluation and quantity surveying, and how do you think you navigate through the murky waters, bearing in mind this is a RADET profession commission to a larger extent?
Madam Rachel.
Thank you, thank you, Chairman. First of all, Chair, I would like to say that I feel much better compared to how I felt in the morning. And I think that has been explained very well by my colleague seated on my left. And it's good
Madam
when
Susan,
women
switch off your mic.
And it's good when women make it to the hot seat and are able to communicate. Chair, I would like to ask the nominee that you know that you got one more year after your 2-term in your position. And you won, it's your right. But generally, how do you feel about it? You don't have to tell us about the judgment in court, but how do you feel about it as a person, as a professional, that you knew that your term had extended and you sat for 12 months, you earned? How do you feel? Number 2, you are going to an institution of colleagues, and it's quite a collegial body of commissioners, and you are quite outspoken, and you know your rights, as it were, looking at your history. And you may have problems with your colleagues. Will you do the same? Take them to court and make sure you win? Number 3, there are disagreements normally between National Land Commission and the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning because their roles are quite intertwined. Do you also expect the same when you realize that the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning has come into your space? Will you also take them to court? Because it is said that you are quite serious litigant. Thank you, Chair.
You take those ones.
Chair, allow me to start with the last one. And thank you. I just want to clarify on the 2-term. I served 2 terms. It is an elective seat at the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. I was elected as a council member 2014. I came back for re-election and I got it 2017. So I did it from 2014 to 2020, and that is how the 2-term comes in. So I served 2 terms at the ISPAC. So in fact, when the Member of Parliament was talking, I thought she was talking of, shouldn't you have gone for chair because I still have a chance? The 2-term is, you serve 2 terms and I still can go back as a chair. One day I will. So she connected it with the judiciary. And I would just want to, not going into the merits and demerits of the case, Chair, just go over the facts so that it is clear there is a distinction between the judiciary and ISPAC. If you allow, Chair, I would like you to guide. Okay. So I would like to give just a few facts and background on the case that is in the Court of Appeal. I joined the judiciary from the CVs, you can see members, 2013. As I was joining, the judiciary had challenges and the chief registrar left with the directors, all the directors, including the director of finance. So the position was vacant, but I was not taken at that time. We were very new, so somebody else was put to act. And as from my CV, you can see, being a very person with a lot of reform agenda, and I was posted in Nairobi as the Regional Assistant Director of Finance. So I did a lot until I was noticed by Emeritus Dr. Willy Mutunga, and he appointed me to act. So the one who was acting, it was revoked. I was appointed to act February 15th, 2015. Okay? I would like you to note the dates, members. So come 2015, September 15th, exactly 7 months, I was invited for an interview. So I wouldn't have gone to court that time. I hadn't even done the 12 months that are required by the HR manual. So I did the interview, September 2015, as Director of Finance. My employer did not respond, and I continued acting. But I wrote to find out how did I perform. That was towards April 2016. Unfortunately, that very 2016, 2nd of May, the Emeritus, Dr. Willy Mutunga, revoked my acting. I had done 15 months. The HR manual was saying 12 months. I didn't take it anything wrong. I went back to my place, picked up the reforms that I was doing in Nairobi region, and continued. But the reforms that I had done, that I had started, had an impact. And unfortunately for me, Willy Mutunga was retiring. June 16th, he was leaving. But before he left, I wrote him an email. He was very good at responding and reading emails. I wrote him an email just to find out what had happened. Okay? So he left. October 2016, we get a new CJ, and that is Emeritus David Maraka. October, he comes in. Notices I am missing. November 2nd, he reappoints me in acting capacity. Of course, he could not appoint me in a substantive. There's a process that the manual has put. So he appoints me again in acting capacity. And at that time, in 2016, we have gotten funding, judiciary has gotten funding from the World Bank to make its HR instrument or to make its organization structure so that it can work optimally. I'm sure, Honorable Member, when the one who was asking about the backlog, when the organization structure for the judiciary is now at optimum level, the ratio of cases to judges, it will be a game changer, it will be different. So you can see they are recruiting every now and then. They are following that organization structure. So I could not, Madam, Mheshimiwa, go to court at that time, because the report was launched in 2018. Even Parliament was invited by the then Emeritus Maraga. So 2018, they start recruiting now substantive positions, and they start with HR, which was now to do the rest, to implement that report from the World Bank. So 2019, they advertise, I apply, I'm called for interview. I could not have gone to court at that time. I apply, I did the interview, and then they kept quiet. So they fill the 2 other positions, that is the audit and other positions, so I remain alone. Again, I wrote to my employer to ask the status of my interview. Instead, my employer wrote to me and said, please continue, you are doing a very good job. Continue acting. And all the time, I was being rated exceeding. If it were this system, it would be exceeding expectation. But that time, it was excellent. That was my rating then. So, if we can count, I actually engaged internal mechanisms. I wrote in 2015, in 2016, in 2019. 2020, I now consulted a lawyer, an advocate, who actually wrote again to them. But meanwhile, I am working and I am performing, and my performance is excellent. So, Madam, I actually tried and employed all the internal mechanisms, and when I saw they were not working, and we have a constitution that is so vibrant, that is when I approached the court as the last resort. So disagreements with my colleagues, of course there are times you disagree, and you disagree to agree, but it is always good that you consult and work together. As members of parliament, I know nyinyi kupata kura si rahisi. You have what is collegiality as one of the characteristics as members of parliament. Your gates are open to everybody. I can tell you that getting elected 2-term in the professional field, it's not easy. So I am that, just like you, collegiality. Madam, I will talk, I mingle, I will feel free with the 7 commissioners that we are going in with and sort out problems. The one that I went to court, I've explained. I did all I could to avoid the situation, but I had to use the Constitution and go to court as the last resort. Madam, still with you on the question of National Land Commission and the ministry.
There is an intervention from the Vice Chair.
Madam Nominee, how long did you act eventually?
I acted for 7 years.
7 good years.
7 years.
So the matter is still in court?
Yes, they appealed after I had won with the lower court.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just try to be very brief. You don't spend a lot of time. I'm addressing. No, she's coming. She's on.
I started with the last question.
Okay.
The
point of order, Chair.
Okay.
I would like just to request the nominee so that she can always focus on you and not Madam on this other side.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Honorable Nyamai.
The Chair, on that note.
Yes, yeah. Just address the Chair. Your attention and everything.
And on that note, Chair, let the nominee try to give as brief information as possible.
That's what I've just stated. Okay. Yeah, because you get into problems if you don't do that.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
On the workings with the National Land Commission and Ministry of Lands, I would encourage that we consult, we coordinate, and we work together for the good of the country. So basically, I will encourage consultation and coordination and cooperation with the two institutions. I think I've addressed Honorable Kaki's questions, I hope, Chair. I come to Honorable from Gitari on affordable housing program, the role of NLC in affordable housing. NLC's role is to manage public land on behalf of national government and county government. So these affordable housing are in various counties, and NLC's role will make sure that the due diligence is done, the law is followed in the affordable housing program. If, for example, the land is in Nairobi County, there is a very clear way of acquisition in law, and that will be followed. If you approve, we will follow as the commission. Survey, the petition of survey professionals and the architects, Chair, it is true, the 7 of us, 3 have said are from the legal and from the finance. We have somebody from HR and then somebody from agricultural economics. But there is a serving member who is an expert in this field. Her term has not ended. It will end in December. She has institutional memory. We are going to sit with her. She's going to walk us through. And in any case, Chair, we give policy direction as the commission. So that is the answer to that member. A style of operation, one-man show, and clicks by the commission. I've said, Chair, that we will consult, we will cooperate, and we will coordinate if you approve if you approve me as the member. Lawyers being paid a lot of money. I said that in my congratulatory message, there was a concern. And as a finance person, and from my introduction, Chair, I said I'm very passionate on prudent, responsible use and management of public funds. These are public funds. So I will put controls if you nominate, if you approve my nomination, in the legal department or the whole of the institution, so that these payments, if they are not genuine, if there's no value for money, I will look at even the internal audit reports. I will look at the external audit reports to see what they are saying. So members, if you approve, know that there'll be value for money for that payment to the lawyers. Money, earning interest, fixed deposit, and commissioners, the money for fixed deposits for the PAPs and the money from the entities. As we all know, the law says the entity that is wants to take the compulsory acquisition must deposit money with National Land Commission. So National Land Commission actually doesn't have their money. It is somebody's money. So in their wisdom, if they are put in interest to facilitate them in the execution of their mandate, that is good enough. But as I've said from the beginning, that I will make sure public money, because that money, that interest that is earned is also public money, is used in a prudent and responsible way. I will look at the risks, various risks. I will map them out and make sure that this does not happen if you approve my nomination. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. I think I'll now come to the very last ones before we give it to the Vice Chair, Honorable Major Decor.
Good afternoon, Susan. Good afternoon, Susan. You can answer without looking at...
Good afternoon, Mheshimiwa.
Yes. From, I will ask you on, mine is on the your net worth. First, I congratulate you because I can see you have a long career in this public service, almost 40 years. and much of that time you were in the finance department in terms of being an accountant. From your declaration here, your salary, sources of income, salary is 5.71 million per year. I am assuming is the current employment you are in. Yeah, so there's also a rent of 2.62 million, bonds getting interest 1.25, dividends 9.88. You have also indicated that you have a house worth 30 million shillings. Where is that house?
Thank you, Chair.
Just answer, because I want to, don't explain, where is the house?
The house is under purchase. I've not yet finished the transaction, the 30 million house.
Where?
In Runda. In
Runda. So it's now worth 30 million shillings?
Yes.
You're getting a rent of 2.6 million shillings a year, meaning 266,000 a month. A house in Runda, or that's where you live?
Thank you, Chair. There's a bit of confusion. Can I clarify? There's a house that I took a mortgage in the judiciary on Rafter Road. That is the one that gives me the rent of 266 per month. But the one I'm purchasing, the contract, we've not yet done. We've not finished.
So as of now, the asset you have is the one in Rafter Road?
Is it Rafter Road?
Giving you worth 30 million shillings?
Yes.
And giving you a rent of 2.6 million shillings a year?
Yes.
Then you have a treasury bonds of 8.7 million shillings.
Yes.
Then your net worth says you are worth 450 million shillings, 916. Do I assume that the rest of the money, other than the house asset, the treasury bonds, that almost 420 million shillings is in cash form? Is that the assumption we should make?
No, Chair. Can I clarify, Chair?
Please.
I have assets that are in my name as Susan Khakasa Oyatsi, and those assets, part of it is what you have alluded to, the house on Rafter Road. Those assets are 56 million, the ones that are in my name. I have assets that are both in my name and my spouse. That is the house, the matrimonial house that I stay in, and another house in Sifa, and that comes to 31 million. I have assets which I have interest in, but they are in my spouse's name, and those assets are 363 million. So I have arranged them that way. That is the makeup of 450 million. Thank you.
Is it possible to share with the committee all those breakdowns? Because what we have is a general figure that you're worth 450 million shillings worth, and maybe that was, you also need to declare what is your share. The assumption here is the share with your spouse is also declared here. Is it so, Susan?
Yes, because I have an interest in it.
So
it's my spouse.
You declared it here?
Yes, I declared.
Okay, thank you. You will share with us.
So, as per that request, before the end of the day, before we retreat, just make sure that we have a breakdown of that information to assist us in that determination. Honorable Robbie.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Susan Khakasa, how will you deal with the issue of corruption on land matters if you are approved as a commissioner?
So, Honorable Joseph.
Thank you, Chair. It's a quick question for the nominee, Susan. How will you deal with how will you handle the political pressure when we're dealing with land matters, and especially knowing that land issues are very emotive? Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair.
Susan, you said you are recently worked with the Office of Executive. Your term just ended 28th of February, if I got you right. Was it you retired, your term of contract ended? What happened? Maybe you'll write that down. 2, one of the mandate in NLC is to address the issues of historical injustice. From where you sit, coming from Western, although you have not written here, I assume you come from Western. Do you have issues like that in Western? Where do you think historical injustice, issues of land are happening in this country? Thank you.
You may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Chair. There's a question on corruption on land matters. It is true, there's a lot of corruption, and if I may use the term, cartels. One of the things that you use to help corruption is automation. As I explained in detail on my signature being in the judiciary. So some of the processes, if you gave us money, Chair, we would automate, and that will automatically help in the corruption, especially double titling, fake title deeds, all that. Automation is very key on helping. Now, corruption, if it is in National Land Commission, I will report that to EACC to help us with that corruption. And also, as a person at policy level, we will take very firm measures if you approve. Political pressure, yes, land is emotive. Land is our heritage. Land is power. Land is everything. I will use the Constitution and the rule of law in making my decisions if you approve my nomination. Madam Vice, contract ending on 28th, yes. My contract with the executive ended on 28th of February. I had a contract of 3 years, and it has ended. As we talk now, if you approve me, you will be giving me a job. I'll be very grateful. Otherwise, I'm jobless. Historical land injustices, fortunately, in Western, it is not so much. Maybe because of titling. Western, we have titles, but there could be issues here and there. From reading the strategic plan and the exit report, which was on the website for National Land Commission, we have issues at coast. We have issues in the Rift. We have issues in Northeastern. That is where we would, if you approve, put a lot of effort and energy to make sure that these historical injustices are not now repeated in the new era.
I have a follow-up question, Susan.
Yes, Madam.
First, I'm happy that you are an FCPA. My colleague engineer seems not to be understanding. He kept asking, are you a CPAK? And you're telling him you're FCPA. It's higher, Mr. Engineer, but we understand, you know, you come from a different profession. I've just logged into ISPAC website, and FCPA Susan Khakasa, right? That's right, yeah? Your membership is 5517. Is that right?
Correct.
And your membership status is active. But your status says not in good standing. What does that mean?
Thank you. I may not be in good standing because of payment of subscription. Executive Office of the President, they pay bulk. So maybe ISPAC has not posted in each individual account, but the payment has been done.
The very last one, Honorable Engineer Zambia.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think the nominee talked of, she came up with a policy of pick and do, whistleblowing. Now I thought because we have serious land grabbing in this country, and more probably, if you go and find that you have senior government officials who have grabbed public land, would you be able to do the same do picker?
Actually, I had asked that question, but she did not answer.
Yeah, may you respond to those?
Thank you, Chair. The law that was assented to by the President in October gave National Land Commission powers to grant and look at it. So this is something that will be waiting for us. And if the titles are given irregularly, our National Land Commission should be able to regularize. If it is illegal, then they should be able to revoke. As I said, Chair, I will use the Constitution, whether it is Fatuma, a small Fatuma, a big Khakasa or a small Khakasa, a big Akinyi or a small Akinyi, I will be guided by the Constitution to execute the mandate and the laws that follow. So, Madam, the politicians, the land grabbing, we will follow the law. And there are various methods that the law has provided.
So, it was about his insisting on Nduru, but I really want to thank you for being so eloquent in your presentation. I have a few questions to ask, and then after that we'll call it a day. Have you ever been convicted or have you ever been charged in a court of law, yes or no?
No.
Have you ever been adversely mentioned in Parliament, in any report?
No.
Do you hold a dual citizenship?
No.
So I think, members, with that we've come to the end of the session. We'll retreat to do the report, which will be submitted to the full House for approval or rejection. So we really want to wish you the very best. We want to thank you for your time and also for responding to the concerns by the members of this committee. We have your originals here. Just make sure that you go out with them. And we pray for you. Okay? But make sure that you avail that information which we requested for before the end of the day.
Chair, if you will, just a few seconds. Can I make some few remarks?
Please do.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank Parliament, this committee, and the 11th Parliament, the 12th Parliament, who did a lot of oversight on my case in the judiciary before I even went to court. I have members of JLAC who may not have made it to Parliament, but I would like to give them my flowers because of the oversight role that they exercised as Parliament. I have members like the current Minister for Lands, Alice Wahome. When she was in JLAC, she was very vocal on the issue of acting. The current CS for Energy, Wandai, when he was in PAC, he was very vocal. The current CS for Health, Honorable Ndwale, and the former member of parliament for, I think it was Kimilili, he was called Dr. Eseli. Very many people, Mbadi, Sakwa, Ojenda, all those members. There are some who are not members of the committee. There are 3 committees that I give them my flowers, and this is the JLAC committee, the Budget and Appropriation Committee, and the PAC committee of the 11th and the 12th Parliament. There were other members who are not in those committees, but they were very, very concerned. That is my member for Parliament, Savula. At that time, he wrote 2 letters to the Chief Justice. Honorable Oyatsi, as a nominated member at that time, was very vocal. The member for Samia was very vocal.
That's good enough.
Thank you so much.
That's very
and thank you, Parliament. I give you my flowers.
Thank you so much. Okay, you may take leave. And Eseli is from Tongareni.
I give him,
constituency. Okay,
I
okay,
give him
okay.
my flowers.
All right, thank you so much. You may take leave.
Thank you.
Chair.
Asante kwa wazee.
Chair, on a lighter note.
Wale wazee wamekuja na mama.
On a lighter note, the nominee has not even appreciated us for sitting here all this.
I have.
She only mentioned the others.
You know, that's why we got...
I have.
No, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Chair.
Yeah, you take leave now. Okay, asante. Asante wazee. Okay. Madam Susan. No. So, honorable members, we have 2 more before we break for lunch. Okay? Yeah, at least we're improving. Too slow, eh? We take 1, eh? We can do 2, eh? But we'll agree that we only filled 5 questions only. Is that okay? Only 5. Huh?
5 people.
Yeah. Lete mwingine nani? Bwana Daniel, karibu. Welcome to Parliament.